Okay, introverts, let's talk about how we can use our introverted tendencies and turn them into superpowers. I hate myself for saying something as cringy as that, but we're gonna work with it and we're gonna talk about how to do it. Our insecurities are not our life stories, and they're not the things that define us in the corporate world, at least. I think if there's anything I want you to take away from this video, it's to let go of what other people think of you. Just remember the spotlight effect. It hurts our eyes as introverts. It's a little bit brighter for us, I'm afraid. We tend to think that people are more focused on our weaknesses, especially in a world where assertive dominance and confidence are the reigning skills that people have. We have to learn to be okay with who we are, and at the same time, in overcoming those insecurities, learning to love them and leveraging them in a corporate world and in a professional environment, to the point where I'm pointing them out on a YouTube video that's going out to hundreds of thousands, potentially, people online. Know that our weaknesses are not weaknesses. It's the capitalist system that has made us think like that. But it's just understanding that everyone is good at different things, and as well as being good at stuff, there's just stuff that you prefer doing compared to other stuff. Things like public speaking versus written communication, planning versus doing. And because we are a team, weaknesses are not our weaknesses. Also leverage the stuff that you're good at. There are no industries or jobs or careers that are optimal for an introvert. There are careers, industries, and jobs that are optimal for certain skill sets. And any skill is buildable. You should remember that too. Trying to find out what you're good at is a bit of a journey. It's not, oh, I know tax is good for introverts because you don't have to speak to people and all you have to do is number crunching, so I'm just gonna go do tax. And then you're almost pigeonholing yourself into something without even really considering if all the elements of that career are for you or not. To find out what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, you need to just try a different array of jobs, even within your own capabilities right now. Just because you are in a certain job with a certain job title, it doesn't mean that you can't pick up certain other tasks or try to showcase some skills by doing so. And that's something I've learned working for such a big company, is that you're not really confined to the roles and responsibilities of the job title that you have. There are ways to pick up certain other elements of work to try and either test out a skill set that you think you might like, or make a skill set better that you think you're good at. And if you're not in a situation where you can pick up jobs or tasks to try and test out an array of skill sets, put yourself in those situations. Ask to do things that maybe people aren't asking for, or just do things that people aren't asking for. For example, if you're partaking in a call, send everyone a copy of detailed summary notes or an action plan based off of content in the call. And that is actually a great example of leveraging non-extroverted skill sets, like being good at written communication, attention to detail, being a caretaker, involving people on a call, taking that backseat planning role rather than being on the front end doing role, and being really loud about the fact that you are doing those roles and you are building those skill sets. Because the other thing that I've learned about these bigger firms is that you're not necessarily known for how good you are at your job title, but you become known for what you're just good at. So it's almost like you're building your own kind of portfolio of skills that's also a public portfolio that people can look at, that showcases what you're good at, and then people will just kind of start to come to you for those things rather than you seeking them out. So in terms of a step-by-step plan on how you can kind of leverage your weaknesses, is to kind of seek out different jobs or tasks whereby you can try loads of different skill sets, figure out the ones that you like doing, the ones that you don't like doing. If you can't find jobs or tasks, create them yourself. Do the things that people aren't necessarily doing or asking for. And then once you've picked the things that you are enjoying or the ones that you're good at, be loud about them. The second thing I've realized is a really big part of turning your introverted tendencies into a superpower is the fact that networking does not go anywhere, and it's kind of really important to advancing your career and doing things that you want to do in general. Because as they say, your net worth is equal to your network. Again, I hate myself. There's so many cringy phrases in this video, but we're gonna deal with it. And initially, when I first jumped into my corporate job, I thought networking was standing in a semi-empty room. There's some kind of dull elevator music in the background, and for every movement you make, there's people staring at you for making noise. That's what networking looked like in my head a few years ago, but I know now that it's so different, and partly due to the pandemic and the fact that there is a lot of remote conversations going on now. But one thing I've really taken away from the last few years of networking is that it was really what you make of it. You don't have to turn it into a back-scratching situation. You don't have to turn it into an instant value exchange. You just have to use it as a way to genuinely genuinely just build a relationship with someone that matters to you in some way. This part of it, meeting someone that matters to you in some way, you do that before you even start networking. So you put yourself in situations that the people you want to speak to are already in. And for example, I've seen kind of TikToks about this, but people don't realize that it's networking. Going to Pilates classes in an upscale area of town to maybe network with business owners. Trying to kind of naturally or organically put yourself in the situations where these people are already gives you that first step forward that you need to make. Then the second part is actually breaking the conversation and building that relationship. And that's what introverts tend to struggle with anyway, because personally, I hate starting conversation. I don't hate them, they just make me uncomfortable. Keeping them going, keeping people entertained and fulfilled with the time that they're speaking with me. And generally small talk is something I'm not good at. So I've just done the opposite of them. So when I'm networking, when I'm trying to build a relationship, I am genuinely just really listening. And you have to kind of build listening skills when you're networking, especially as an introvert. You can't be focused on what to say next and how to impress the person or how to extract value from them. You need to just focus on the words they're saying, how they're feeling, their emotions, being quite empathetic in situations when you're speaking to people, just so that you can leave a good impression on them when you walk away from that conversation. Which leads me on to my next point. We have to let go of the idea that networking is this one-stop shop, one conversation where you have a really great exchange of value and that's it. Networking is the start and it's a relationship that's built. It's a number of conversations that's had. Then over time, it's not like this one-time thing. Once you let go of that and take a step back, you can then start to understand how multiple conversations will lead into a situation or the value that you're potentially looking for at the beginning. And it also helps you get a sense of how you can bring value to that other person as well, because networking is also not usually a one-sided thing. And also as introverts, I think it's really good to leverage the remote working world that we live in now. We have insane access to people's big dog's diaries and we can get FaceTime in with really cool people, and I think we shouldn't overlook that. And especially as introverts, if you can have a conversation with someone that you find really cool and interesting from the comfort of your own home, where you can make yourself as comfortable as possible in order to have this really uncomfortable conversation. Well, for you it's uncomfortable, for the other person it's just a conversation, right? Then we should leverage that. And if you are more keen on having more remote conversations and remote networking, just remember the points I mentioned before, whereby, you know, you have to really listen to the other person and not see it as an immediate value exchange. One of the ways I've personally done this is kind of just devoted a full 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe of a 30-minute call to purely just having those niceties with a person, asking them how their week really went, how their day is really going, and really listening to what they're saying back. Something I used to worry about before is like, oh, there's a 30-minute call, but the first 5 minutes are going to be wasted on niceties. Those 5 minutes are not wasted. They're so crucial to how the rest of the call goes. And I think that's a thing that a lot of people miss. So if you're scheduling in remote networking calls, just devote the first 10 minutes, block them out in your mind to purely just getting to know the other person and having those formalities. But just remember, as introverts, just don't think of networking as this icky situation. It's purely just talking to people and getting to know them for who they are. Connect with people for being human in the same way that you are human. And I really want to end this video by just emphasizing that insecurities are not our life story. Be okay with who you are, and if who you are is someone who's really good at writing and would rather not speak to people face to face, that's absolutely fine. Don't let anyone else's opinion of that affect your confidence in how good you are at being that kind of person. Learn to love your awkwardness and embrace it. And with that, I'll leave you there and I'll see you in the next video.